Danielle Shaquan McGee. I graduated with my bachelor's of business administration in 2021. Going back to school with 5 kids was a big commitment I had to be willing to make. I do think the older ones really understood what I was trying to do, and I'm very open with my kids. So we did have a conversation before I decided that I was going to take this big step and how much I needed their support. When I came to Martin, it was like everything was perfect. Working around my job schedule, the drop-in center that helped with the kids, the faculty pushed you and encouraged you. The reason I chose Martin was because of the drop-in center, the smaller class sizes, the support of the staff, being in an environment with people who are going through the same things I was going through, and just us help pushing each other. For too long, Martin University has been Indiana's best kept secret, and I'm on a mission to change that.
Welcome to Let's Talk Live with Martin U, the live podcast bringing much needed community conversations to the table. Let's Talk Live with Martin U is an exciting, reverent, and educational podcast that digs deep into current topics, community involvement, and stories of our alumni success that only Martin University can deliver. I am Montia King, and joining me today is Dr. Terrance Bridges, lead faculty, liberal arts, and author. Thank you so much for joining me today.
I'm excited and delighted to be here with you. Yes.
Yes, it was unplanned, y'all, that we're matching today. It just kind of is like a Martin thing. We want to show off our shirts. But yes. To get us started, I just want to know if you could tell us a little bit about your background, who you are, and what you do here at Martin University.
As you've already stated, my name is Dr. Terrance Bridges. I am the lead faculty over the liberal arts program at Martin University, and it is my pleasure to be able to develop and maintain the curriculum and the scope for those who are studying liberal arts and humanities in regards to their career. At Martin University, I work with students across all majors, seeing that I do a lot of the introductory courses and a lot of the capstone courses for the university. So that's just a little bit about what I do. My background, I'm an Indiana boy, born and raised for the most part, traveled a little bit, lived outside of Indiana for a few years in Colorado and then also in Chicago, Illinois. But other than that, Indiana has been home. And I did my undergraduate studies here in Indiana. I did my master's at Ball State, and then did my first doctoral program at Regent University, and then my second doctoral program at North Central University, where I concluded with research. So that's just a little bit about me.
Man, that's a lot of school. Something be telling me I should go back, but I need a little break, just a little break after my master's program. So more power to you. You don't have one, but 2 doctoral degrees. So I can only imagine how much work you had to put in for that. But my big question is, did you always want to do liberal arts? Like, has that always been an interest for you to teach?
Actually, no. And the interesting part about it is in regards to schooling, formal schooling in a traditional model, that has not been something that has ever excited me or motivated me. So even to complete the programs that I did complete, it was a challenge for me. Liberal arts was not my original passion, but it is my directed passion because education is important. Nelson Mandela says one of the greatest tools that we have in order to change the world is education. And so just constantly remembering that that I can use this tool that I have been given to change and make better the lives of other people. Now that has been my passion from as long as I can remember. And they're very much tied into the purpose of who I am as an individual and what I feel my life calling is to make the world better. And this is the way to make the world better is through education. So I wasn't originally planning on being a part of liberal arts per se, but after receiving a scholarship from the United Negro College Fund, the Bill and Melinda Gates Scholarship, being one of the first 25 scholars to go through that program, the majors were education, mathematics and library science at the time. Education was the one that I chose. And because the traditional educational model did not motivate me, I studied so that I could be one to make the change and make the difference in that model.
I completely understand everything that you're saying. And I was also taught that the only thing somebody can never take away from you is your education. So, because you're so passionate about education, I think that that can carry over into whom you teach, which leads me to my next question. As a professor, what is something that you strive for your students to obtain while learning from you?
I strive for my students to move beyond just getting information for a class to actually motivating them to continue in the lifelong learning process and understanding that really coming to college is not about a piece of paper alone, but it's about helping you and motivating you to the point to where you want to continue to learn and really into the university and going through the university is giving you the skills and the tools for you to learn how to learn. And so that's what I seek to help my students with that are a part of any programming that I'm a part of. And then giving practical application because a whole bunch of information without any application is useless. And so giving practical application for the current context, where they are and where they are trying to go using education as the tool to get there.
I love everything that you said about that because that leads me to what I really want to know as far as what you're interested in teaching in the future. Is there a specific course that you would like to teach a group of students or scholars based on what you're passionate about?
I enjoy communications, and so type of communications courses I find to be valuable and exhilarating in terms of teaching. But even what I'm doing now, the courses that I already teach now are exhilarating and energizing to me because it's helping students to learn how to learn and to do that effectively. And so, with that being said, even what I am doing right now in terms of introductory courses from success in higher education to communications to capstone courses, I enjoy all of it. And I'm just excited to continue to share in terms of research that I'm doing, looking at African American young adults and how to engage them and retain them in institutions of education. That's something that I want to continue to do and be able to share my research, not only through classes, but also through writing and through journals as well. So I'm excited about that.
Now, is this research from what you've done in your doctorate program, or is this research that you've just decided to start up doing?
Actually, this is a continuation of my dissertation, so it's my doctoral research. I looked at the social indicators to the likelihood to withdraw from institutional religiousness amongst African American young adults of the urban North, but specifically looking at institutional religiousness as an educational institution. So, what is it that contributes to the attrition or um, the takeaway of young adults from educational institutions as opposed to what helps to retain them. So, looking at those factors and everything like that.
With research, I know everything has to be measurable. How have you planned on measuring these research questions that you have?
The research questions have been measured and I've already come up with findings. And so, really just continuing to study the implications of those findings and then providing models and support for organizations that are seeking to retain African American young adults. One of the biggest things is intergenerational relationships, but then also involvement in leadership from the ground up, and then making sure that the institution is concerned about mission and movement and not just about maintaining its systems. So those things, when those things are present, they have been indicators of an increased likelihood to be retained within educational institutions, as opposed to the attrition that we see take place.
Do you plan on publishing this anywhere, or you want to just keep it near and dear to you?
My research is already published. My dissertation is published. It's on ProQuest. Most people don't like to read dissertations, so I am rewriting it to a general audience as a book that should come out next year. But I do have some things that have come out of my research in terms of intergenerational relationships and connection with some of the literature that I have written for children as well as young adults. And all of that is on Amazon.com under my name, as well as on my website, TerranceBridges.com.
Nice. So, what are your goals this year as a professor here at Martin University? What would you like to accomplish this school year?
Well, we are the third largest program at Martin University, the liberal arts program. And so it is my desire to continue to expand that program and push us up and move business out the way as number one so that we can become number one in a university setting, but not just to be number one, but just so that we can continue to expand the base and foundation for students to be involved in civic engagement, for students to be involved in continuing liberal arts and humanities and cultural awareness and understanding, and then also for students to be involved in racial equity and inclusion initiatives and efforts. So that is what our programming in the liberal arts department is preparing to do, and what we're teaching students to do through the courses that we're currently offering and constructing as well.
Now, you mentioned racial equity and inclusion. Is that something new here at Martin University, or has that always been something that you've instilled in your students?
We have always been a multicultural focused group in terms of our studying, in terms of our learning as a department. However, as a university, we have a diamond in our university and an asset in our university that does not exist elsewhere in the country, and that is the National Center for Racial Equity and Inclusion. And so it is a no brainer for us to have collaboration, connection, and communication with that entity that grows out of Martin University, and partnering them with our liberal arts programming to provide students with a robust and with a relevant base of research as it relates to racial equity and inclusion. Corporations all across the country are now looking at racial equity and inclusion on a new level, a different level, thanks to maybe the mistakes and the messaging that has come from our national leadership. We have seen racial disparity in a new way. And so we've become more sensitized to that. With being more sensitized to it, we want to make sure that we have the skills that are needed and necessary to prepare our students for the workforce in that regard, so that they can become educators, influencers, and continue to close the racial disparity gap that exists within our culture and within our country and within the global community.
Now, you mentioned your research that you're doing right now and that what you're conducting, and you plan to have that published into a general version for more audience and more viewers. Is there anything else as a public author that you're working on that you would like to share with the viewers today?
Yes, I have a couple of books that I've worked on and completed. Reset, recovering from toxic relationships. That is work that I have done in collaboration and connection with therapists, as well as with other research from education as the foundation for that work. That's on Amazon.com. I also did a book called Love Wins for Children. And the second in that series is due to come out at the end of this year. That's also on Amazon.com. But trying to reach all ages, be intergenerational, even in the approach to my writing, so that we can make an impact in regards to intergenerational relationships and building off of those for an improved community. If we can improve our local family structure and our local community, then we can change the world. I believe it with all my heart.
I think your book can help so many people within my generation personally, based off the fact that social media carries so much weight. with people and what they think as this idealistic relationship and what they should deal with and stick with. So, with you writing a book, how long is that process? And with writing it, how long does it usually take for these projects?
It depends on the project. When I wrote the children's book, that was a moment of inspiration that came to me within one day. But the editing and then the illustrating of that particular work took 2 years, from start to finish, with editing and publishing and stuff like that. Thank you. But then after that, there was a reset. Reset took all of a year to complete because it was a compilation of different lectures, different workshops that I had done, the actual content from those, and working with a writing coach to organize those and then to edit those, and working with the publishing company to get that out. So that process was exactly 12 or 13 months, approximately, I should say, not exactly, approximately 12 to 13 months.
I'm stuck on the fact that you wrote a whole book in a day, but then it takes 2 years to get everything else done. So that I'm stuck on that. But also, I've been told that you have an upcoming event September 20th called Navigating the Educational Process for Children with Exceptional Needs. Can you share with us what that will look like?
Yes, I can. That grew out of a personal experience for me as a parent with a child who was on the autism spectrum. Since my son, God rest his soul, has transitioned from earth, he has passed away. But my experience as a parent, I wanted to help other people with the education and the experience that I have had, to equip them to be able to navigate the school system, to be able to navigate the educational institutions, to be able to get the best benefits that they can for their children if their children are classified as being children with special needs or exceptional learners. And so we partner with some organizations in our local community, the Black Autism Group, as well as Impact Life Decisions, LLC, and then some of our local ABA clinics and our township schools, as well as IPS schools, with different building administrators and teachers, to be able to provide support for our families through giving them information, but also allowing them to put faces with names and make the connections that are necessary for their children to receive the best services that they can in order to be the best individuals that they can be as they matriculate through the school systems that are surrounding us. And
I
so that's what
think
that is going to be about. And it's going to be a forum, invite all students, inviting their parents and caregivers to come in to be a part of that. And I'm excited about it.
I think what you're doing is really phenomenal. Can you tell us where and when? Like, is it at Martin? Is it at one of the partners? Where is this being
It's going to
hosted
be at
at?
Martin University in the Gathetorium. It is going to be at Martin University in the Gathetorium. And the information for that is on the website, as well as we will be passing out information, different events. And then also each of the schools will be sending out e-blasts with that information to parents and families.
Okay, also, it is on social media, so be sure to check it out. If you are watching, it will be on Facebook as well if you want more information to register your children and yourself for that event. Now, I really do believe that you're turning your pain into purpose, which a lot of people don't dive into. They don't want to feel anything. They just want to, push it to the side. But what you're doing is really inspirational, which leads me to asking, is this going to be something like a series? Do you see yourself partnering with these local organizations in the future? Um, how would you like to do this with all these organizations involved, or would you like to see it grow?
Our liberal arts department, as well as our education department at the university, the faculty have been in connection, communication, and collaboration with these organizations, also talking about the potential future and the organic growth that will come out of these conversations from these forums. We're sure this is not the last one, because parents can be educated on everything that they need within one setting. But hopefully, this will organically grow into something greater that continues to support families as they help their children to navigate through the educational landscape.
With classes starting back in Martin, um, what would you say to someone considering going back to school as an adult learner?
There's a Chinese proverb that says every journey begins with the first step. Just make one step. Don't try to figure out every step. Just make one step towards the door of Martin University in particular, because of my own fondness and affection for the quality of programming that we offer to students, both on a traditional and non-traditional track. But make the first step. Don't second guess yourself. Don't allow the inner voice that is within you to talk you out of your dreams. You can make your dreams into a reality. And it begins with you walking, taking one step at a time. Fill out the information, fill out the application. And once that step is completed, move on to the next step. But you can do this. You're equipped to do this. You're still here because you're supposed to do this. And so you have the power as an individual to make an impact in our community. And I believe that education is one of the most powerful tools that you can use to do that.
Now, if you are interested in applying to Martin University, please visit our website at www.martin.edu/apply. So, how can someone reach you? If it's for any of your services that you provide as a professional author, as a professor, or even as an organizational consultant, how can somebody reach Dr. Terrance Bridges?
My information is on the Martin University website. And as you said, that's www.martin.edu. So you have the opportunity to go there to get the information. And you can also go to my personal website, which is www.terrancebridges.com. And the spelling of my name is there for you, terrancebridges.com. And there are resources and information there and ways for you to be able to connect with me. And I'm on Facebook, I'm on Twitter, and I am on Instagram at I am Terrance Bridges. So you can hit me up any of those places as well.
You can't forget LinkedIn. I know you're on LinkedIn.
Oh, yes, I am on LinkedIn. I need to do better with that.
LinkedIn is like the place to be as far as professionals. So you cannot forget that. That got to be like the first thing you tell people is that I'm on LinkedIn. You can find me, because if they go there, they'll see everything else about you.
Yes. Thank you, Tia. I appreciate it. Reminding me of
No
that.
problem. And is there anything else you'd like to share with the audience, with students, peers, colleagues, or even professionals?
I would say just don't stop learning. Whatever you do, don't stop learning. Take advantage of every platform and every opportunity that you have to gain information, but then take that information and give application to it so that you can bring transformation to this world.
Transformation to this world. I like that ending. And on that note, that is all we have time for today. Thank you so much for joining Let's Talk Live with Martin, your Dr. Bridges, and sharing your craft and expertise with the Martin community. I'm your guest host, Tia King, and I'll see you same place, same time next week. Bye.
Danielle Shaquan McGee. I graduated with my bachelor's of business administration in 2021. Going back to school with 5 kids was a big commitment I had to be willing to make. I do think the older ones really understood what I was trying to do, and I'm very open with my kids. So we did have a conversation before I decided that I was going to take this big step and how much I needed their support. When I came to Martin, it was like everything was perfect. Working around my job schedule, the drop-in center that helped with the kids, the faculty pushed you and encouraged you. The reason I chose Martin was because of the drop-in center, the smaller class sizes, the support of the staff, being in an environment with people who are going through the same things I was going through, and just us help pushing each other. For too long, Martin University has been Indiana's best kept secret, and I'm on a mission to change that.